Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an experience like no other. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for The Mary D. Show, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. The Mary D. Show brings you powerful insights and inspiring stories from a diverse range of guests. Join our incredible host, Mary D. Welch, as she sits down with thought leaders, business owners, and changemakers, sharing their journeys and successes. From career professionals and entrepreneurs to educators and beauty advisors, Mary D. Welch interviews sports figures and health enthusiasts, offering a platform for extraordinary voices. Explore the world of extraordinary people and places in business and finance, homes and real estate, beauty and wellness, education and empowerment, sports and health, and more. Want to be a guest on the show? Call 619-669-8603 or email Mary at marydwelch.com. Visit www.marydwelch.com to learn more.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mary D. Show. For those of you, if you're new, welcome live viewers, and then welcome replay viewers, because all of you matter. So thank you for taking time out of your day and coming to the Mary D. Show. I'd like to thank our executive producer. Hi, babe. Those of you know Oliver is in the background. And even though you may not see him on screen, he's always there. And you'll notice he makes a comment or two, but he is definitely there supporting the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited about our guest today. I'm going to tell you, I'm excited because this lovely lady she's just a powerhouse. She is a powerhouse. And her comments and what she's going to bring to us is helping us. It's all kinds of real good information to help you. You may say, well, I don't need any help. You know what? I can be honest with you. I always need help. I always need to be reminded, because many times we get in grooves and we may not even know we're in a groove, and we just need to be reminded. But first, I want to read to you her bio, because I'm so excited about that. And I almost forgot. For those of you that get the text message from me or the emails, the new book, When I Was on the Moon, will be coming soon. It is actually, oh my goodness, when is it coming out? In the next 2 weeks. It'll be up. Those of you know, you can see the ebook is already up on Amazon, but the paperback, it'll be up in about 2 weeks. It should be there too. So I just wanted to share that with you. All right. But first, let me read to you her bio. Wendy Gladney is a life strategist, success coach, consultant, author, and speaker. She is a multifaceted businesswoman with close to 30 years of experience. Wendy is the founder of Personal Services Plus, or PSP, Season of Greatness, SOG, and Forgiving for Living, Incorporated, FFL. As a life strategist, coach, consultant, community relations, and strategic engagement expert, Wendy has worked with individuals leading community-based organizations and small business and corporations in America, all while building a reputation of delivering exceptional service. A native of Southern California, Wendy received her Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA. She is also a graduate of the Protocol School of Washington, certified and licensed to teach, coach, international protocol etiquette, and intercultural understanding. She is also a certified coach where she graduated from Antioch University Coaching Tools Program. Wendy's professionalism extends through her membership in notable organizations, including International Coaching Federation, ICF, Screen Actors Guild, SAG or SAG, UCLA Black Alumni Association, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and others. She sits on the board of directors for the International Visitors Council of Los Angeles and the American Women for International Understanding. Wendy's reach also extends abroad, as she participated in the UNCTAD conference in Lyon, France, and later was part of the China Trade Mission with the Upland Chamber of Commerce in 2005. She was selected by the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles as an ambassador of goodwill and global relations to Israel in May of 2015. And in October of 2015, she traveled to South Korea with GCS as a goodwill ambassador on behalf of Los Angeles. She has also served on mission trips in countries such as South Africa. For her achievements and commitment to community, she has been the recipient of several honors and awards. Wendy is a weekly columnist for both the Los Angeles Sentinel and the Inland Valley News. She is also a contributing writer to Sweet Life SoCal magazine. Wendy is a mother, grandmother, and wife. She is committed to faith, family, and community. She believes that everyone has the power to make a difference, and her motto is healing without hate. It's a choice. It's a lifestyle. Pass it on. You can learn more about Wendy by visiting her website, wendygladney.com, or forgiving.org. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the Mary D Show the one and only Wendy Gladney.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, wow.
How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm telling you, when I was listening to you, I was like, okay, I got to get you a new updated bio because now I think, like I shared with you, I've had to step back from a couple of things. So I'm not on the board anymore for AWIU or for the International Visitors Council for the city of LA, but I was. Okay. I've now stepped back from that. And then also, just so you know, the website for Forgiving for Living is forgivingforliving.org.
Oh,
so yeah. But thank you for that. And thank you for having me as a guest again on your show. And I admire you and all that you do. And you know what? You are a leader within our community and making sure that we stay abreast of things that oftentimes we wouldn't know without you. So thank you.
You're welcome. You know what? I this is what I always say, that my email and text list has become my new classroom. That's where I teach. In fact, just this morning I came up with, I don't know if you noticed it. First it was I'll do something called for Black History. Say Black History. But I'm going to start a new series, and it's called the Underground Series. So now it won't say Black History. It'll say the Underground Series. When it says Underground Series, it will be something about Black history in that series. Okay. And we start. And because, as you know, and I know right now, there is a move to erase our history.
I know. And if you think about it, you have an excellent name, because when our people had to start dealing with sharing information, it's like how the Underground Railroad came about and how, we had to do things underground. So, kudos to you on the name and for making sure that we stay abreast.
Oh, I was walking, it was last week. I was going for a walk, and a lady stopped me, and she said, "I just want you to know, I read everything you send." I'm like, "You're kidding." I did. See, this is what I've learned too. I don't even know who's on the list anymore. There's no. It's literally people. And I for her to stop me and say that, and she said, "Thank you for your New Year's letter." Because rarely do you guys really hear me or see me write anything. But for her she said, "I really appreciate it. I shared it with my family." I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad." I said, if I can, this, so I always say, number one, before any email goes, I pray over it.
Amen.
Even, I don't know if you saw me before the show, I was saying a prayer before we go live, but over every text, over every email, whoever this needs to reach, I always ask the Lord to touch that person. I have no idea who that is.
Yes.
But if it does that, then I've done what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. So. I mean, I understand, because I do something similar. I always say, "Thy will be done, not my will, but yours." Because when we get out of the way, then that's when he can be glorified. And that's when people can be touched.
Yes. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, definitely thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I don't know that you're as busy as you used to be. I think you've slowed down a little, just a
I
tad.
have mainly because, like I was sharing with you, I had some health challenges in 25. And so, just really giving myself, my body. So the Lord gave me a word for 2026, and it's walk. And what it stands for is He wants me to walk closer to Him, which means that we got to spend more time with Him, or I
Yeah,
do. He
yeah,
wants me to walk for my health so that I can continue to get better. And then to always remember people are watching your walk. And as we know, sometimes we're the only Bible some people will ever read. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but it does mean that we're trying to be the best example that we can be. So I've slowed down a little bit, in order to do that. And then also because I am a grandmother of 5 and I want to be balanced between being a wife, a mother, and a grandmother, I'm learning to say no. And Mary, you wrote the book on that. So, I am learning to say very nicely, no, I can't do that, but I show up when I'm supposed to show up or when I'm needed. And of
yes.
course, when it comes to work that needs to be done, I'm always there. So, but just in terms of the way I used to be always on the go, not quite as much, but I'm okay with it. It's
Yeah.
all good.
I'm trying to slow. Well, I say trying. On Friday, I got the COVID shot and the flu shot.
Hmm.
I was in
On
the
the
bed by
same day.
the same day, and
Okay.
I was in the bed by 8 o'clock. Not because I was sick, but because I felt like sluggish.
Yeah.
And I said, "This is." I haven't felt, thank goodness, any illness or sickness. But I said,
Mhm.
even though this is that little sluggish, that's your body saying you need to rest. You need to
I'm
rest.
with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you. I mean, I was sharing with you, these days, lights out or earlier around here, so I totally understand, but when it's time, then you show up. And I love your slogan, where ordinary meets extraordinary. And
Yes.
you're an extraordinary woman. So when you tell us to show up, we show up.
I know.
Mhm.
Has it been about 2 years? Is that about right? Is it
It's
about
been a while, I mean, I know our paths cross from time to time. And of course, I'm on that list of yours. So I do know and keep up with what you're doing. But in terms of being a guest on your show, it's been a couple of years. So I thank you for having me again as your guest.
Oh, I'm always happy. You're always welcome. Always welcome. I
Thank you.
know we want to share with the audience today because this is beginning of the year, still January. We're still at the
Yes, it
beginning of
is.
the year.
Mhm.
And I just like to start the year on, I could say, a clean slate. And the
Yes.
way I do that is that, to be honest with you, the first person or the first my forgiveness for me, it's always for me to forgive myself for whatever
Mhm.
it is that I didn't do right, either by someone or just forgiving me for not
Mhm.
doing whatever. But
Yes.
I start there, and then forgive. Like when I mentioned to you about borrowing money, I use money, and it may not be money. It can be a car. It can be. I mean, I've been through so much. In other words, people have were a renter, didn't pay the rent. All those been through all that. But at the same time, to still forgive them, because you don't really
Mhm.
know what we're going through. We
Mhm.
we do, but the truth is we really don't.
No,
And,
no.
and that's part of the forgiveness too, of give grace to what is happening, not only in your life, but for other people in their life. But
Mhm.
I say it's easier said than done. That's what I would say.
Oh, for sure. I mean, absolutely. Because there's one thing to talk, but are you walking? Are you walking the talk? And so for many people, they don't even know really where to start.
Mm,
And, so for me, because as you mentioned in introducing me,
mhm.
about 26 years ago, now almost 27 years ago, our family started a nonprofit called Forgiving for Living. And we work primarily with young women and young girls, but the whole theme, message, and mission for the organization is about how to forgive when you've gone through situations that seem unforgivable. And
Wow.
so when you've been sexually abused, or you've been abandoned, which was my story as a child, which is why the organization was, started. And to help those that have been through situations such as that to know that you're not alone, and that there's hope, and that you can go from being a victim to victorious, and that some things are a choice. Like you said, in terms of my mantra, that we have to choose that forgiveness is going to be part of our path, and that we are going to start with ourselves and understand that there are some things that happen to us in our life that we didn't have control over, especially if it's something that happened to you as a child, or that you were a victim of something. But then there's some things that you got to look in the mirror and you've got to understand, did I cause this, or did I play a role in it? So it's about understanding so that you can then start the process, because forgiveness is a process, and it is a choice. And it's also something that you get up every single day and decide you're going to do. It's not like you make that choice or decision one time and it's like over. No, you get up every single day and you say, I choose to love. I choose to extend grace, whether that's towards yourself or towards someone else. So for me, it is a lifestyle. It's something that I try to practice every day. Doesn't mean I don't ever fall short, but when I do, I ask the Lord to please forgive me. And then I start over. And one of the things that you and I were talking about before the show started was, because I've been involved with several companies, and people kind of get confused, like, okay, which one is this and what is that and so forth. Towards the end of last year, decided to do a whole rebranding where I am the purpose partner. So everything falls under the purpose partner, other than Forgiving for Living, because that's an entity all on its own. I don't own it. That's a nonprofit that has a board and, like everything else. But everything that I do, whether it's Season of Greatness, coaching, consulting, whatever it is, all falls under the purpose partner. And the purpose partner has 3 pillars, and they tie in some of it to forgiveness, because the first one is all about crossroads. I help women that deal with crossroads in their life, because usually when you're coaching someone, they're at a crossroad. It doesn't mean it's always negative or bad, but they got to make some choices. And sometimes even forgiveness can be a part of that crossroad. The second thing that I help women with, whether it's through Season of Greatness or whether it's through coaching or consulting, is how to become unshakable. And the only way that you can become unshakable, especially if you're going through crossroads, is if you have strategic grace. And those are 3 pillars: crossroads, unshakable, and strategic grace. And when you really get that down in your soul and your spirit, it's like you stop majoring in the minors.
Wow. Well, I can tell you, we have our audience has some, I don't know if it's comments or questions.
Okay.
Our audience says, hello, Mary and Wendy. And that's my niece. I think that's Jazzy. Hi, Jazzy. Is that that's
Hi,
why
Jazzy.
Oh, that's why Bonnie, I think. I see her picture.
I see somebody, W. Yvonne Page.
And
then there's Jazzy.
Oh, I saw Jazzy's name here.
Amen, Auntie. I couldn't agree with you more.
She said she couldn't agree with us more.
Yes, I see that.
Hi, sweetheart. It's always good to see you. She lives in, now, it's interesting. They're both in Atlanta. They're both.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's where my bonus family is. My 2 daughters and grandchildren with my husband. So they're in Atlanta.
Wow. That Atlanta is definitely a hub. It's a magnet.
Oh, for sure. And my daughter graduated from Spelman. So, I've had my heart in Atlanta a little bit, but I'm still a California girl. I'm just going to say, I'm staying right here.
Okay.
Mainly because also my grandbabies are right here. So, I'm not going anywhere. And my 5 grandbabies are right here in Southern California.
Wow.
And then when we get a chance, my husband and I try to see my bonus, his grandchildren in Atlanta.
Okay. We have grandchildren in New Jersey, Atlanta. Now a granddaughter in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
But believe it or not, we have been for the last 10 years while they were growing up. Once a year, we saw all of them. We go once a year. And then now, I don't know that we have, now they're almost all grown. We have a 2-year-old, almost 3, should be 3 in May. And she's in Washington. So now it's like, that's probably, I think, where we're going to go, because she's the littlest one. And all the rest are grown or almost grown. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
mine are tykes. Mine are still tykes, little.
Really?
Yeah, the
Oh,
oldest is 8, and then the youngest is 1. So my
oh,
son's children are 8, 6, 4, and 2, and then my daughter's daughter is 1 years old. So,
wow.
yep, they're
Well,
little.
to me, they're so much fun. So we're
They
not,
are.
we
They are.
the
I
grandmother
feel blessed. I feel totally blessed. I'm grateful.
just to be near them. Like I wish we could be near ours. Ours, we have to travel to see them, but
Yeah,
we do, FaceTime. We do everything we can do
right.
close to them, but we only get to see them like once a year.
Yeah.
So
And that's where my heart goes out for my husband because his grandchildren are in Atlanta and I know he would want to see them more too. And
yeah,
and FaceTime, WhatsApp and all that helps, but there's nothing like, being there. But we do try to be there for their special moments. We went, matter of fact, my grandson is on the it's the new school year, but I mean new year, calendar year. He was on the football team. So granddaddy, Papa, that's my husband, had to go to the game. And
yes.
because he was, a star on the football team. So we went just to go to the game. So
But
those are the last moments.
it means a lot.
It does. It does. It
They
does.
don't forget that. I remember when I played sports, my parents were in this. I always played better when they were at the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't care if they're there. I have to really show out how good I can play. So it does matter for sure.
Yeah.
Well, to Wendy, you are the author of the book on forgiveness.
Hmm.
As you know, I admire. I mean, I cannot tell you that book has helped me so much more than you know. It really has. You really have, I guess, touched a nerve in that. I don't think we realize when we. I don't think we don't realize the residuals of when we don't forgive.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. The bitterness, the anger that pops up because it's still bubbling underneath and you've not dealt with it and done what you need to do in terms of the internal work.
right,
But that's why I wrote the book Forgiveness Can Change Your Life Forever,
right,
because it's so true. When I chose to forgive my parents, it changed my mindset, it changed my heart. And but a core for me was my grandmother on my father's side, who's my heart, my grandmother. She's gone on to glory, but she was the one who raised me and took care of me. And when I was a little girl, she used to always tell me, which deals with, because with forgiveness and healing, I have 10 steps. And the first one was prayer, because when I was a little girl, my grandmother used to always say, two things. One, pray for people because you never know what they're going through. And you
right,
talked about that as well. You don't know people's circumstances or why. That doesn't justify what they do, but you
right.
don't know why. And then number two, when it came to my parents, as it relates to prayer and forgiveness, she used to always say, the Bible says to honor your mother and father. And it
Right.
doesn't say to do that only if they act right.
Wow, but it does say that. It
No, it
does say
says
that.
to honor your parents. So, and it doesn't say if honor them if they're perfect, honor them if they do you right. No, it says honor your mother and father. So for me, that was my first lesson of forgiveness and really truly love and letting go and letting God, be the one for me, be my father, be my mother, like he says, he'll be your father, he'll be the father to the fatherless, the mother to the motherless. And I didn't really realize all that I was doing when I was younger, when I started the whole process of forgiveness. It became a part of my lifestyle, which is why I say that. And then I started realizing people were noticing it. So that's almost like when I was talking about you have to look at your walk because you never know who's watching you. And then people would ask me, how could you forgive your father when you went through, abuse with him, sexual abuse with him? How could you forgive your mother when she left you when you were 3 or 4 years old? Well, I didn't know anything differently because that's the way my grandmother taught me. And then as I grew into an adult, I began to understand, when you become, it's kind of like I would tell my children, especially my daughter, who's now a mother, that, there's a lot of things that you'll learn when you become married that you didn't understand before you're married, when you become a mother that you didn't understand before you're a mother. And now for me as a grandmother that I didn't know before becoming a grandmother. So, life's experiences will teach you.
Right, right. Oh, it and like just as my mother-in-law used to say to me, just keep living.
Yeah, my grandmother would say, just like keep on lying down and getting up. Keep on lying down and getting up, which is the same thing like your mother-in-law about just keep on living.
Living. You'll be,
Mhm.
and there is no everything is perfect. Don't even think that that's a reality or that
No,
exists. Yeah. But
no,
some people think it does. They do.
no,
It
no,
does. Does
no.
not exist. We have a couple of more comments, I think, from
Okay.
our audience. Oh, I guess we do have a couple. I'm looking, and this is from who is this? Nanette. Hi, Nanette. Nanette and we found out we're neighbors. We live 2 blocks from each other. Hi.
Oh,
Mary, I finally got to come to your show. It is noon time.
yeah, because I noticed up here it says 1:00, and I was like, okay, no, we're
I know.
5:45.
I have to have them change. I don't even know how they did all this, so I have to give them change it to 5.
That's your technical team.
It is. It
Yes,
is.
I understand.
A meeting earlier. You heard of WAG, right? You heard of WAG, West Side Action Group.
No, I'm sorry.
I was at their meeting earlier, and they said, "So when is your show?" I said, "It's live at 5:45," and they started laughing.
Well, that's cute. I mean, that's really cute, and it's catchy, and you won't forget it. And the good thing is about that is you're catchy. You can pick up some drive time people that would listen to it, but also people who've already made it home, and they're either just finished dinner or they're preparing dinner and can catch you. So 5:45 is kind of cute. I like that, Mary.
Thank you. Because and that came truthfully from a lady that said, I forget, I don't even remember where I heard it, but don't start it on the hour. Don't do something that'll kind of a little off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and that's what made me do it too. Because at first I did start it was at 1:00. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if you know the story behind why I changed.
No, I don't. Tell me.
I called Tamron Hall and I said, Tamron Hall, can you move your show? Because my show's at 1:00 too. She said no. Then I called Jennifer Hudson. I said, Jennifer, can you move your show? Because her show's at 1:00. And she said, I'll get back to you. And then I called Beyond the Gates and I asked them would they move their show, and there's like, the answer is no. The bottom line, all 3 of those shows are at 1:00. So just the fact that I was up against all that, I said, it's time for you to move. So I moved my show to the 5:45. Because I said
the fact that you even had the strength and audacity to even reach out to those shows and say, would you consider this? But you know what? You never know what could happen.
Reach out to them. I know I'm not gonna say this.
But you know what? You never know what God will do. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody hi. She said, hi, Mary. Hi, Wendy. But you just, when God has room for you, space for you, you never know what could happen. I'm serious. You just never know. But now nobody's going to compete with you about 5:45. I bet you that.
No, I think I'm pretty good there now. I haven't heard any show starting at 5:45. No, that I know of. I mean, it could be, but I haven't heard of that. So,
yeah. Well, you have the monopoly, at least in our market.
I know, but they just really love that. They were just laughing. They said, so they asked me, they said, well, what did they say? I said, they said, are you great? They said, take a hike. That's what they said.
Where'd you come from?
It's always good to ask for forgiveness. That's Jasmine. Oh, thank you, Jasmine.
Yeah.
I
mean, forgiveness, the thing about it too is when you really are sincere and you go to somebody and you ask them to please forgive you for something, that takes them off guard. And then it humbles them in a different way as well. And if it doesn't, that's not somebody that you want to be affiliated with anyway. If somebody won't accept your forgiveness, then you've done your part, and you just have to pray for them and keep on moving. Keep it moving. Would you? I don't know if you take a break or whatever, but would you like me to share my 10 steps, of forgiveness, so that for people who maybe sometimes are even wondering, like, where do I even start? How do I get this ball going? Because I've been in this cloud for so long of unforgiveness. I don't even really know. So it's 10 steps.
step, let me go down to the audience because I don't want to forget anybody, but I want to give you the two so they have a chance to say hi. This is Ruby. Ruby is a wonderful actress. She is a writer. She is a producer. Hi, Ruby. So I want to make sure I say hi to all the audience, and thank you all for coming. Ruby is, I call them the ones that are here basically every week. And Ruby is
called the faithful.
And
the
I
faithful.
call our super fans. That's what I call. They're the super fans. So Ruby is a super fan. Nanette, you said you couldn't find the show, Nanette? Oh, you found it though. Good. And then you bless our family. Thank you, Jazzy. Thank you, sweetheart. And then you say, Jazzy said another comment. She said, when you choose to let go and let God handle your pain, you'll truly go far in life, especially with all those in your life. Thank you, Jazzy. Thank you. And let's see. And I tell you, Jazzy gives me a call every evening. We talk and just really enjoy each other. She said,
hi,
hey,
Nanette.
I tell you, no, that's Nanette. That's okay.
No, I know. I said hi, Nanette.
She changed.
I can see. And I'm reading it, so I can see, and I see her picture. So I said, so hi, Nanette.
I tell you, when we found out we were 2 blocks away, I said, I told she didn't know how close I was. I said, you live 2 blocks away from me.
Well, I told you, I'm a Riverside girl. I'm born and raised, went to Poly High, and grew up in Park Avenue Missionary Baptist Church.
Wow. They just had their Martin Luther King service, I think. Was it this past Sunday? Or maybe
probably.
Yeah, maybe it was last Sunday.
But I grew up in the old one, that used to be over on Park Avenue. You're thinking also of the new one with Reverend Campbell on over here on Martin Luther King Boulevard. But I grew up in the original one over on Park Avenue when our pastor was Reverend L.B. Moss, Dr. L.B. Moss.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go through them kind of quickly so that if anybody has questions or if you want to make sure you acknowledge your super fans, we make sure we have plenty of time for that. Okay. But I call this healing without hate, how to forgive to live. And the first one is prayer. And like I was sharing with you, my grandmother taught me at a very young age to pray for people. And what I've learned too is when you're praying for someone, it's very difficult to hate them. It's very difficult to hold on to a lot of anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, because otherwise you are praying hypocritically. You don't mean it. Right. Or it will cause you to stop praying because you got to get your heart right. So I start with prayer. The second one is counsel. When you are hurting and somebody has possibly hurt you and you're dealing with forgiveness, get the right help. And the right help could be a therapist. It could be a counselor. It could be your pastor. I always tell people, be careful of just friends because, sometimes friends mean well, but they may not be equipped to give you the right information that you need to solve an issue or solve a problem. Now, you may be blessed and have a friend in your life that can, but I always say seek the right counsel. Number 3, confront the situation. And what I mean by that and how I demonstrate that is the difference between a window and a mirror. A window is you're looking through it, which means it could have been the fault of someone else. A mirror means it may be you, because sometimes we don't want to admit it, but we could have played a role in a situation that got ugly that now needs, forgiveness. Maybe you said something, maybe you did something, maybe you didn't mean to, but you did, or you said something in passing that you thought was innocent, but it really wasn't. Maybe you broke a secret. Who knows what you did? But the difference is when you confront it, is it a window or is it a mirror? And then the fourth step is release. Sometimes you just got to let it go. You just got to let it go. Sometimes you have no control. Maybe the person's passed away. Maybe the person doesn't want to talk to you. Maybe it's out of your, jurisdiction in terms of how you can get to them or something. Who knows? But sometimes you'll never get an answer on this side of heaven. And you just have to learn to just let some things go. You're not in control of everything. Right. And then step 5, I call it the cornerstone. It's the middle. It's the word forgive. But I talk about it's the difference between pardon and parole. Most of the time when we tell people we forgive them, we really parole them versus pardon, which means we say, I forgive you if, or unless, like, unless you do that again, or we'll say to our friends, I forgive her, but if that girl does that again, then you really haven't forgiven. You've paroled them. Now, people say, well, Wendy, when you pardon someone, that's as if it never happened. No, it's not that it's never happened, but it doesn't have the same consequences of shackling you anymore.
Wow.
Because I tell people that when you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean that you have to forget as it relates to being ignorant and going right back into the lion's den. No, but it does mean that you let it go as it relates to how it controls you and controls what you say and what you do. And then number 6 is attitude. I talk about the importance of having an attitude of gratitude, because the fact that you're still here, that you're living, that you're on this side of the dirt means you have another opportunity to get it right, or to move on, or to help someone else, or to navigate yourself through that situation. So start with gratitude. Thank God. Thank him. Thank him before you start asking for anything else. Just thank him first that you've made it through and you got through. And if the person that hurt you or harmed you needs to, get their life together, just let them. I'm sorry.
That's
I don't
okay.
just want to stop it.
I actually thought it was my fault.
It's a house phone that you never used,
I know. We have the same thing.
So, and then step 7 is all about joy. Joy, I talk about. So when I speak on this in more depth and so forth, I talk about the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is based on what's happening around you. And that's where you can do things to make your life, a little bit easier while you're going through the pain, while you're trying to, even figure out how am I going to forgive myself or forgive that person, but you still fill your life with the things that make you happy. So for me, I love a good cup of tea. So I always have, tea in my house. I also love candles. I always have a candle going somewhere. I love having pictures of my loved ones. Right here, right next to my heart is my husband. But I have pictures all around me of my loved ones and so forth. So that's happiness. But that can change based on what you have in your environment. What if I don't have any candles? Am I not going to be happy? What if I don't have any, tea? So happiness is situational, whereas joy is not conditional. It's what's inside. It's what nobody can take away from you. For those of us who are, go to church, we talk about the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Right. I can't sing. Down in my heart to stay. But the point being is that joy comes from your understanding and your relationship with the Lord, to the point where no matter what's happening, you're going to be okay. You're going to be stable. And then I talk about step 8 is goals. That when you've gone through dealing with the issues of forgiveness, now you got to set goals. How are you going to move on? How are you going to, now what are you going to do? How are you going to get through it? How are you going to show that you love that person again, or that you forgive them, or, what is the goal for you, through that forgiveness? And then number 9, I always talk about give. Because once you've gone through it and you understand how to rise above it, now it's time to give back. Help somebody else. Share the message. Give back. Don't hold on to it just for yourself. Because remember, God didn't comfort you to be comfortable. He comforts you to comfort someone else, to comfort others. And then finally, step 10 is, once you've gone through all of that, just live your life. Live what God's called you to do. Live your purpose. Stop wallowing in anything that you didn't have control over. Don't go back to being a victim or whatever. Live, because life is short. I mean, we turn around and we blink a couple times and we're like, how did I get in my 60s? What happened? How'd that happen? How did I become a grandmother of 5? It's like time. So you got to live each day to the fullest.
Well,
and those are my 10 steps.
Oh, I'm going to applaud you, and I'm going to tell you I don't even know if I shared this with you. My forgiveness that I went through on the job. My boss, when I tell you she was treating me badly, I can't even begin to tell you. I had never had a problem with a boss on a job. First of all, ever. I'd always had bosses. We got along, and a boss is in a parental role.
Yes.
when it comes to working with your employees. So we always want to make the boss happy. That's just how we are, as employees. And so in this situation, I still never knew what it was. Well, kind of maybe I do know what it was. My boss wanted me to introduce her to the group that did Kwanzaa. And at that time, I didn't know who that group was. That wasn't a holiday. I knew about it, but it wasn't like we did big celebrations or anything.
Practice.
I
It
tend,
wasn't a practice at that time.
I do what I do. I tend to go to celebrations more than anything when someone is hosting it. But anyway,
Mhm.
long story short, we got on a bad footing, and so now I became the whipping person. And when I tell you, it was relentless. And I remember the day before. This is after 3 years of this, basically.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to work one day. I was getting ready to go. First day of school, or first day for teachers back. And I started praying in my bedroom. And I said, Lord, and I didn't know your steps, by the way. And I was praying in my bedroom, and I said, Lord, I am not perfect, but I know I don't deserve this. I know.
Mhm.
And it wasn't even that I had a question about it. I knew I was nothing I was doing to deserve this. But I didn't know what I did not know about people at that time. She was mistreating me. She was mistreating other people too. That was who she was. But I didn't know that. Let me
Yeah.
just say, which I learned that since then. But anyway, the way it went down, here I am praying. And so I'm pulling the car out of the garage, and it's at that time, one of us had to leave, put the garage up and down. And my son's like, Mom, you need to move the car so I can let the garage down. And I said, son, God is speaking to me. And the Lord said, Mary, when have I ever failed you? And I remember just putting my head down in the car and crying. And I said,
Mm.
never failed me, Lord. And 45 minutes later, that same principal is resigning. I'm in the cafeteria. I'm getting choked up now talking about it. And that was years ago. Because I was so, I'm sitting in the cafeteria and she's resigning, and I'm sitting here listening to the resignation, knowing that I had prayed earlier, knowing this is what I know about this whole situation. And so, but long story short, she did resign, but I will say this too. So, and then we in the office, people are talking and milling around because that's news for the whole staff. And
Right.
one of the secretaries stands up and she said, Mary, we know you're glad, about this. Everybody know you glad. And that tells you too just how much everyone was paying attention, as you mentioned earlier about your walk.
Yep.
And
For sure.
But I remember turning. I was turning to the left, and I said, Lord, give me the words to say. Because the one thing I've learned, and I know you have too, is do not gloat. Do not.
Oh, no. I mean, because you know what? As much as you can try to go up, you can also come down. And nobody likes people who are, who gloat or who, act better than the other person, better and all of that. But when you stay humble and you have humility and you trust God, if you do fall, people will pick you up. People will help you.
Well, I'll tell you, when I turned, as I'm turning, I'm praying about the words to say. And there's like 25, 30 people milling right there. And I said to them, and at that, I remember this scene because literally the whole place got quiet. They wanted to know what I had to say about this. And they really did. They were holding on to it. What is she going to say? And I turned and I said, if they can make our boss resign, what does that say about our job?
Hello. That was a check. That was a checkpoint. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I was mistreated. All those things are true, but that was my boss. If they can make, and you best believe, for her to resign, they made her resign. She didn't just resign because she wanted to. They were giving her either you leave or we're gonna fire you. What's it gonna be? But the point is, and then I turned just so slowly. It was definitely a drop the mic moment because, and I turned just. And you that nobody said anything, but
because the word even says God will make your enemies your footstool.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that you have to be mean, like you said. It doesn't mean that we have to, shake our fingers and say, I knew, I knew this day was coming. No,
that because
just pray for them and really, and sometimes, when people are going through things like that, and when you have a kind heart, that also throws them off, I'm sorry that this happened to you, is there anything I can do to help
No,
you?
I wish I could say she said that, but it was about a week later. And I was actually trying to avoid her office, to be honest with you. And I started going, I was getting ready to go past it. And the Lord said, because the Lord told me to go in there and apologize to her. And I'm like, oh no, Lord, I think I heard you wrong on that one. And then he said, is it worth losing your soul?
Well, that's what I was just saying, though. If you had gone and said, I'm sorry that this happened to you, not so much that you're sorry for what you have done if you didn't do anything, but you're sorry for what had happened to her. And that, is there anything I can do to help you, type of thing.
When I went to her and apologized, which I did not want to do, because I was like, me and God were arguing about that, because I said, I didn't do anything. Why do I need to go? I literally was going back and forth. But I did do what the Lord, go in there and apologize. When I apologized to her, and I said to her, whatever caused this between me and you, I'm sorry. Whatever my part is in this, I'm sorry. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. What I found out later on, by the way, so I after I apologized, to me, it was over. I did and I meant it. I definitely meant it, because I walked out and I said, okay, Lord, I apologize. I meant it. I'm letting it go. I didn't know she was supposed to stay there another month. Do you know the lady never came back to the school again? Had I not gone in that day at that time, I would have never had the opportunity to apologize. And I didn't listen
to the Lord. You listen to the voice.
So I still remember when we say forgiveness, it is deep. It is not a little thing. It is not.
Well, it's soul work. I mean, when you deal with true forgiveness, that's your soul. That's your heart. So that takes work. It takes time to be sincere and to practice it on a regular basis. Now that doesn't mean we become doormats at all, where we just let people walk all over us. But what it means is that we give people a chance, or the benefit of the doubt, or grace, which is part of what you were talking about earlier. Grace. That's why the 3 pillars for the purpose partner are, helping women at crossroads to become unshakable through strategic grace.
And I'm sitting here. We have other comments.
Okay, let's see.
We have a comment from Nanette. I want to make sure I check. Nanette says, Mary, I have moved my live streaming ABC News to 11 o'clock p.m. to try to catch the fire.
Well, see, somebody moved something for you.
That's what I said, Nanette. Thank you. And Nanette, how's your daughter? You told me your daughter, I think she hurt her leg, I want to say, but you told me she was on crutches. So let me know how your daughter's doing. And
so Nanette is also a graduate of Poly High School.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
To give, to live. I like that.
Yes.
I like that. These Poly High School,
Nanette.
You guys stick together. I can see that. That's for sure.
Go Bears.
For sure. But no, that's my, I'd say, forgiveness story. And then what I didn't add, the lady passed away 18 months later.
Oh, that I'm sorry to hear. Yes.
And it's I do thank God for this. It had nothing to do with me. I could let go and go on with my life before I even knew she had passed. But it still, he gave me that of, you need to go now, which I didn't know. The day I went, I didn't know that was going to be her last day on campus. I didn't know that would be the last time I could even say I was sorry, whatever part I played in it. Yeah. And I never knew what that was anyway. If there was something I said, something I did, because she denied everything, because a friend of mine who's an attorney said, had she said that what you were saying was true, you could have sued that school district. That means that there was intent in what she was doing. I was like, I never even thought like that. So there wasn't even like I was thinking of that. And she could never say she knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
She never did.
But see, that's part of that step I was telling you about, number 4, called release, where sometimes you just have to let it go, that you'll never have none of us will have certain answers on this side of heaven. So, and that's where we just have to let it go, because otherwise it could eat us up. It can eat you up when you don't know certain things that you just really want to know. And, you just get to a point where you just have to, I don't want to say forget, but it just doesn't take up the same mind space anymore. And you can start working on other things that are more important in terms of what God has called you to do for your purpose. So,
Oh, for sure, for sure. Oh, I
mhm.
just think somebody told me you need to write that story because it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me, even sometimes. But forgiveness is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a witness to that.
No.
It's not anywhere near as easy as it sounds. Let me say that.
But when people see you in action and it becomes something that's consistent over time and they can tell that you're genuine, you can change other people's hearts on how they, think about forgiveness or just how to live their lives, period, with intention and purpose and meaning.
Yeah, I agree. But
Mhm.
I don't want anybody any misconceptions to think, oh, that was really easy for you, or that was no. That would be wrong. But
Mhm.
we are, and as we know, we're imperfect beings. But this experience, the fact that we get to be on this planet, I want to say it's like a trillion and something to one, is a miracle in itself that we
Hmm.
even be here. So for us to be here and experience this, and I always say we're a ball. Think about this, floating. There's nothing holding us up. Only, I mean, the energy from the other planets. It's really a miracle in itself, and we're out in space.
Oh, I was gonna say God,
Oh,
you
I
know,
know.
but God, God created,
And
this universe for him, and for us to be part of it. So, that in itself is just mind-boggling,
it is.
of creation. Mhm.
If I remember, I can't remember where I heard this. If we were like 1 degree closer to the sun, we burn up. I
Yeah, I've
mean,
heard I don't know the exact statistics with it, but yes, I've heard something like that, how if anything was off kilter just a little bit, how things would change. And
this
that's
is
why we, like even in the word, again, back to the word where God says, why would you worry about this? The daisies, the lilies,
this
the
is-
sparrows, the birds, I take care of all that. Why would you think I'm not going to take care of you?
I
You know?
know it's true, but I think I almost our nature to worry, even though He says to cast all our cares on Him. That that
Mhm.
the burden, His burdens are light. We make them heavy and weigh us down. I don't know I think that's just human nature. We want to know. We want to know when we step out, it's not going to be on quicksand. It's going to be on concrete. So we,
Yeah, but then that's I think still back to a choice, that I think as we get more secure in our walk with him, um, there's like I said, I think there's so many things we don't focus on as much. I don't worry about certain things anymore. That doesn't mean I don't care. It doesn't mean I don't plan. It doesn't mean that I'm not concerned, but I don't worry. I release it and I just okay, Lord, how you gonna take care of this? Okay, what's next?
well, I
Mhm.
know you are wise. Let me say that.
Hmm.
But what would you like our audience to know as far as for the takeaways for because with your wisdom?
Whew. I mean, truly, Mary, my whole thing is just trust him. Trust him. Give your life to him, trust him, and you can't go wrong. And you've heard of the golden rule, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Some people call, I guess there's a platinum rule and all that, but be kind. I just tell people we need, especially now and especially in today's environment, we need people to be kind, extend grace, think
Yeah.
about forgiveness. If you can help somebody, as you travel along this journey, do so. And oftentimes we say, well, I can't do this or I can't do more, but all of us can do something. There's something you can do to help mankind and to help the human race to do better, to be better, and starting right there in your own home, starting with your own family, starting with your neighbors, starting, like with me, I have had some interesting conversations with my neighbors because some of us think differently.
Yeah.
And but when you take time and you extend grace and you talk and you share, it's amazing how you can extend olive branches that can turn into bridges that end up making a big difference. And just starting right where you are. Start right where you are. People want to say, oh, I want to do all these great, amazing things. Well, what are you doing right now? Period. It's like the person that says, well, when I win the lottery, I'm going to do this. Okay, but what are you doing with your money right now?
Yeah.
Are you a good steward with it right now?
Yeah.
People say, well, I want to give and be a philanthropist. Okay, do you have $1? You can give that to somebody to help them. Do you have $5? You got $10?
Yeah.
If you want to give and so forth, but you also have to do it with a pure heart and
Yes.
not looking for people to applaud you, but because you're just trying to help another individual on their journey. And and another thing I would say is I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people who have stepped into my life from when I was young to now, that have helped me on my journey, that have lifted me up, who've prayed for me, who've helped me, who I was a speaker this past Saturday at my women's ministry at my church, just
Mhm.
just a regular gathering, not a special conference or whatever. And
Right.
one of the members, she came up to me and she handed me, she had it all balled up and handed it to me because it wasn't like where I was getting paid or anything. I was just ministering. And
Right.
she said, this is just to help you on your ministry. And it was, something that touched my heart, and I sat down the next morning and wrote her a thank you note and just told her thank you and how much that really touched me. Because a lot of times we don't stop and let people know that we appreciate them. And then the handwritten note nowadays is special because everybody just sends a quick text or email. But when you take the time to, say, I appreciate you. Thank you. Another friend of mine who's a coach in Atlanta, she started something called the We See You Awards. Her name is Barbara Perkins. And
Okay.
and so, when people say, we see you, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see you're trying. And
Oh,
and I would say that's part of what I would leave people. Just see people, give them grace, be kind.
oh, and I think we all need that. We all need that. I
Yes,
know Nanette has a comment. I looked at the comments. I said, Nanette, hold on. I think it's this one. Is this it? And I said, Nanette's right.
mm,
Nicolette broke her ankle. I knew it was something. Um, 15 had surgery on December 26th. The next 2 weeks, she was in extreme pain. She is healing well now, since in pain, but is at a level 2 to 5, not the 10 plus like the day after and 2 weeks post surgery. Oh, was
I'm
the,
so glad to hear that she's doing better.
me too.
And things take time. That's what you and I were talking about earlier, because I was sharing with you about some of my health challenges last year. And sometimes we just have to slow down and let God do the healing.
Me
Take
too. I know when I last talked to her, I think she was on crutches. I think that's what it was. And I was like,
time.
oh, here we go. Nanette. Okay. She says, I had a friend of 40 years, hurt me to the core by negative action. I had decided to put distance between us because this was a problem she has had with so many of our friends. I went to the Holy Spirit when she asked for forgiveness, but I wasn't ready to honestly accept, and I asked her to give me a few months to get over that hurt. She threw back at me, you're supposed to be a Christian. I told her I'm working it out and need time. It took 4 years, but I finally forgave her. Wow.
Hmm.
Forgiveness is for you, Nanette.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't for her. Forgiveness is truly for you. That's
Yeah.
what.
Because when we don't let it go, it controls us. It eats us up. It controls us. And actually we're the ones who suffer even more so than the other person. So I'm glad Nanette was able to finally let that go.
Me
And for
too.
some people it does take a moment.
It does. It's not. It's not quick. It's not that kind
No,
of. I think.
it's not instantaneously.
Oh, and this is. I see. Ruby said she's enjoying the conversation. Thank you, Ruby. And then
Thank
there's
you, Ruby.
said, "Go Bears." Well, I
Yes.
want to thank all of you. First of all,
Yeah.
lovely, lovely host. I was a host. Our guest today, a special guest, Wendy. Thank you for coming and spending time with us. You know, as I said before, and I mean this, you are always welcome to be on the show. Always.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And audience, thank you for coming out today.
Yeah.
receive a text because I sent the text out about the housing situation, about the $20 million that the city voted to send back to the state of California. They are down there now talking about that because once they send it back, the chances are not only will we not get that, we won't get other grants because your other cities want this money. If we don't want it, other people do. So that's what they're talking about. So, but thank you, Wendy. Thank you, audience.
Thank you, Mary.
We will be back next Monday, same time. The Mary D Show is live at 5:45.
I love it. Love it. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Take care. All righty. There we go.